Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. This will probably be the concluding session on rate analysis. So we've been speaking a lot about rates, and we'll also try to connect it with all the other parts of what I'll call as contract. Okay. One of the very important things you would have noticed is that contract is equal to best price. So whenever you're having a contract, you look at the best price, you also look at the best quality. So at least everybody who's quoting is going to give you the same quality. And the other important thing is optimum time. So all of these three, this triangle of price, quality and time need to be seen by everybody who is part of the contract. So if any one of this link also is not there, if any one of this link is not going to be present, that means you're likely to be failing. Okay, so this is also something which we've been speaking about. So you should be in a position to understand and relate to all your own actions. Okay, as a simple thing, we speak about delivery from Amazon. So is it going to come in time? Is it going to be economical? Is it going to be the best of quality? You are looking at the word. The word here is specifications. And again, this was spoken in one of our earlier sessions, but we will again kind of remind you that specifications are key to any success. Now, what happens is, what is going to be the price? If you see, there is a relationship between price and risk. There is a relationship between price and risk. Now, is this relationship a direct relationship or an inverse relationship? Is price directly proportional to risk or inversely proportional to risk?
Directly.
Yes, please.
Directly proportional to the risk.
Exactly, directly proportional to risk. Why do you say it's directly proportional to risk? Okay, let me put it this way. When there is a lot of risk, very few players are going to be present. So if suppose there are only going to be two contractors, both of them are willing to take the risk, they are also factoring into the price the risk. Now today, for example, in Tamil Nadu, the price of cement has gone up by 100 rupees. Now, do you think any person would have anticipated this risk? That is 50 kgs of cement has gone by 100 rupees. That means each kilo of cement has gone up by 100 rupees. And this has actually left many of the contractors scratching their heads. And also the Association of Contractors has come out with a request to the government asking them to ensure that the price of cement be brought under some control. So now this kind of what I call as this kind of situations are some things which are very I mean, like, unforeseen. So this kind of risk, where I say, like, what we usually call by the term force majeure, will not be will usually not be uh, you'll not be able to just talk about that. But other risks are things which you can evaluate. For example, suppose let us take, for example, a typical highway project. When we are having a highway project, if suppose the highway project is going to go through a village, immediately there is resistance by villages. There is going to be huge resistance from villages. How are we going to overcome this one? We were doing a mining project in Orissa. So then there was what you call as this was in a reserved forest. So when you are going through a reserve forest, we were not allowed to even break a branch. So if you say, if you are going to break a branch of the tree, immediately they'll say, no way, no permission granted. Now this is, can you imagine how it would have been? We are going for survey, we had gone with all the equipment, and then we are not able to get a line of sight. So this kind of a problem means that it has its own kind of risk. Now I will come back to this kind of risk, like where what we actually did at a slightly later point in time. And now let us go a little further down. Risk means that if you're willing to take that risk, you're going to have a lot of profit. But what is this? But the but is there is also going to be a chance of loss. The loss can be colossal, and hence we go for what we call as risk mitigation techniques. For example, suppose you are going to go and work in the Himalayas for a project. One of the things is that you may not be able to do the normal concreting, because when you are mixing the concrete itself, the concrete is likely to freeze. So in the winter, concrete is not going to be able to be poured because it is freezing even before you are even able to do anything. And when it is going for the summer, ice will be melting and the rivers are all in spit. So there is a sweet spot where very few contractors are willing to take this risk, and at some price point it is going to be possible to do the risk. So here only we are going to use all our skills to assess technology, assess which technology to be used. One technology will be cheap, but it will not be the risk involved in choosing that is more. Another technology is going to be very what I call as costly, but it is going to give better results. So automatically when you are going to go for better technology, the price goes up. Automatically the price goes up, and maybe many companies may not have this technology with them. So again, that's one more reason why they will not be wanting to even take up this challenge. So we are going to be, as contractors, risk takers, and how great the risk we are going to take is going to be the amount of profit which you get. And based on this risk, or let me go a little further. How do you think payments are fixed for a project? It is based on what I'll call as the type of contract. Okay, so based on type of contract, you're going to get your money. So one of the very important things which you need to see is, in some forms of contract, the owner takes more risk. Okay, if owner takes more risk, contractor's profit is going to be lesser. On the other hand, if suppose it is going to be the other way around, there can be that contractor takes the risk. When the contractor takes the risk, he will be trying to make sure that the what you call as the losses are lesser for him. So when we are going to look at this, if you are looking at some of the contracts like the cost plus, okay, cost plus contracts, as we call it, cost plus some incentive, cost plus some maximum price. So the price can be quoted, and that maximum price should not be exceeded. Okay, then there can be unit price, okay, contract. So if you see, each of these have a relative risk with reference to the way the project is executed. So then you also have the lump sum contracts. Okay, and finally, when you are going to go for the what we call as the other kind of things, it can be maybe the for the amount of time that you spend and the material that you use, there is a type of contract. Or you can go for the these are some of the ways by which you go for the contracts. And if you look at it, when you're going for a cost plus contract, your costs are going to be borne by the owner, and there is just a small risk for the contractor. So if you see here, whenever you're going to take any of these types of contract, the owner is going to take more risk, and when you're going to go on this side, the contractor is going to take more risk. So the choice of which type of contract is going to be taken is something where we are going to what I call as to take a bittersweet choice. And here again, like if I use option 1, okay, let us say that this is option 1, what would be the profit contractor makes and what is the cost I will get. So this is one of the homework which the owner is doing. This keeps going on for all the other types of contracts. Now, in one of my earlier sessions, we have talked about I was talking about the material handling system, and in this, what happened was, initially the contracts were all given as it was all done by the EPC mode. So contractor did all the work. Then what happened? slowly the owners realized that there is a profit involved. See, for example, when you are going to do a cement plant, always the cement is free issue. What does free issue mean? Cement is free issue is you can use as much as the reasonable cement is required. You cannot waste it, you cannot take it out of the site, but you can use cement generously, but you cannot claim any money for it. Maybe for the enabling works and other things, yes, you can claim. For making, taking the cement and converting it into a certain meter cube of concrete, you can use your cost plus sort of billing, but you cannot charge for cement. So usually what would have happened, you would have gone to a dealer. Suppose you are a contractor with say 1000 crore turnover, another person is having 10,000 crore turnover, and both of them is only from cement. So obviously the contractor A cannot have as much of a bargaining power as contractor B. So the cement might itself be 15% lesser in the initial cost. So this makes the possibility that B is more competitive higher. But one more very important thing, because B is such a big company, he has to pay so much of overheads. So again, like it is not going to be that just because you are a big company, always your everything is cushy. So for example, if you extend this, you'll find that for steel plants, steel is free issue. Okay, steel is free issue. And in our case, what happened? The owners of the projects started to say belt material is free issue. That means the length of belt is known. We as the contractor can quote the length of belt which is required, which they will also confirm as being reasonable or not reasonable. Along with that, what will happen? The owner can also buy some extra belt material to replace own belts and so on and so forth. So that means automatically the belt is going to be is not going to make me profit. Other thing where we lost money was in cables. So the owners decided, okay, why should I let the contractor provide me cables? I will provide all the required cables. So the quality of the cables was always assured, and also they could have a lot of control on what was being done. So when you are going to have a free issue, it means that when you are going to do the rates, you have to discount whatever is free. Okay, and it doesn't always mean that just because that material is free, you are going to save on it, because what profit you have been making on it, it has got reduced. So this is one very important lesson which we have to remember when we are going to do the rate analysis. So again, coming back to the other important part where we've been always talking about, we were talking about indices. Okay, so now you should remember that maybe your cost indices which you worked out included all these materials. So then you should exclude free issue materials and then make your cost. Only then you are going to be in a position to reasonably, what I'll call as, say that things are right. Okay. So any questions on in anything which you've seen till now? Any questions, please? Right. So let us move on. Let us take an example of where all is estimate done. Again, we have seen this before, so you may be able to tell me, but in any case, you will be doing it in the pre-tender stage. Then you will be doing it during tender, stage, then during execution. Any person is there who can tell me what is the next stage, please? What would be the next stage? This is pre-tender, during execution. Final thing. Huh? Building. Okay, actually during execution is the building. Billing. Okay. Great. Okay, during billing, also there's one thing which you do, but most maybe another thing which I'll put it is close out or during arbitration. Okay, so usually billing happens when you are doing your project. Okay, but I'm very happy with your with that you tried to open up on this, so thank you so much. But I'd like to just remind you on this two terms, closeout and arbitration. Okay, anyone quickly can you say what is arbitration? Hey, very good. I got one answer here. Closure has been told on the chat, and I'm very happy to say yes. What you said is correct. Give yourself a pat on your back, and also please, like the others, yeah, you can congratulate him. And yeah, so can anybody please suggest or tell me what this closeout is? Anybody? Okay. Closeout is where you tell that all the items of work have been completed. See, for example, you would have had to do a work, and let us say, for example, that you are supposed to keep iron pillars embedded in concrete, and the concrete might have been required to have been a particular size. Let us say that the size of this, the depth of this is 0.6 meters, and again this is 0.6 by 0.6 in plan. Now this was the original requirement, but then due to the site conditions, you found that this may not be sufficient, so you may have modified this a little. You might have made this as 0.4 by maybe I'm just putting some numbers here. Okay, so you would have put something like this, 0.75 by 0.5. Concrete quantity Q will be the same. Okay, now maybe this is not a very big thing to do. Let me just do it for you. 0.6 by 0.6 by 0.6. So here, for example, for each unit of concrete, you're using 0.216 meter cube of concrete. Okay, now I would have got 0.4 by 0.4 into 0.4 and minus 0.216. So that means I have to use 0.152, and so this may not be this number. Here I would have got, let us say that I need 0.152, so it will become 0.152 divided by 0.75 by 0.75. So I would have had this height as 0.27. Okay, and here the base would have been 0.075 by 0.75. So if you add this 0.4 by 0.4 into 0.4 plus 0.75 square into 0.2, 0.27, you will get approximately the same value. The concrete quantity has not changed, but what has changed? Your shuttering has changed. Okay, so now is there a change in the price or not? Are you able to get my point, my dear friends? So concrete wise, the major quantity has not changed, but had I used the same 0.6 by 0.6 from design consideration, it was going to fail, or there might have been some practical consideration. The soil might have been very soft. So now what happens? During execution also the billing might have gone up, but the owner might say you have not followed my stipulations, so you have to either pay penalty or vice versa. So when you are coming to the when you are coming to the point, there is a dispute, and this is one place where probably you are going to go for like in the closeout you will have some trouble. You have not done the work to specification. So typically closeout means a certificate that all work is complete to satisfaction. So it is more like a course completion certificate, and it also is what we call as a ticket for getting your payment. Uh, so let us remember that closeout is like your completion certificate. So when you get your closeout report and you get your closeout certificate, that means you will be able to claim the money which was agreed upon in the tender. Okay. Otherwise, you will not. You will be losing. I mean, like you will be losing time. You'll be waiting for the whole thing to be finished. So it could be in terms of a performance guarantee, or it can be in terms of uh, yeah, it should also satisfy the performance guarantee and also the tender stipulations. All the conditions of the tender needs to be fulfilled. So once you get all of this, you'll be getting your closeout report and you'll be able to go. So if suppose there is a dispute, work done, okay, and then another person says work not done, okay, so this is the two things which are there. So then there is main things which are there: work not done to satisfaction. Okay, so usually what happens, whatever is the balance, okay, balance work will be deducted. So again, the deduction can be just a deduction, or there can be a penalty also involved. So when this for this reason, rate analysis is very important. Okay, so for this reason also, rate analysis is important. In other words, the rate analysis tells how much money has to be paid, and the other important thing which goes with this is quantity estimate. So if you look at any of the what you call as the job profiles today, you'll see that a lot of people are still asking for quantity estimators. So these people should be in a position to understand the technical requirements and especially the technical specification. So once you look at this, they will be able to say specification A, which was executed, is as good as the specification B, which was stipulated. So if suppose you are able to prove all of this, okay, maybe you can get your advice from your other engineering colleagues in your organization, but at the end of the day, you need to prove it. If suppose there is a disparity, what should be charged? So this is the other very important part which we need to showcase. Okay, so technical specifications need you all of us need to be familiar with technical specification. So how do we get a technical specification? One, you can get it from standards. Okay, so for example, what is the curing time which you have to do, or what is the duration for which shoring has to be done? You can refer the standards. Again, remember the conditions under which validity is there. So for example, many of the items in our code is only valid for OPC. So whenever you're using PPC and other things, or when there are additives, you should look for specialized literature. So it can be, this literature can be from journal articles or whatever, provided test results match. Okay, so the test results should match. Otherwise, it is not going to be a valid assumption. So you need to have literature, or you can go for product catalogs. Okay, now again, the product catalogs are very limited to that specific product under very specific conditions. Okay, so for example, the use of an admixture, whether it is valid or invalid, whether it is going to be beneficial or not beneficial, and if suppose you are going to show that some saving is probable, most likely the owner will say pass some of the savings back to me. Okay, so for example, when you're going to go through all of this, you find that at quite a lot of stages you are going to do your work. Okay, so you will be doing your work during the pre-tender stage, you'll be doing it during the tender. Okay, during the tender you'll be trying to add some value. Basically everywhere you would like to do some value addition. and typically value addition is where the person who is getting the value gets a saving in cost. So everybody, all of us like to do some value addition and then we proceed on. Okay, now any questions at this point, please? Is there any question that you have? Okay, right. So now some of the important we will summarize some of the important parameters that affect cost. Okay, point number one, risk. Okay, bigger the risk, the more is the likelihood that the cost is going to be more. Second thing, always it's a supply demand thing. So if suppose there are many people supplying a particular product, that means the product will not go at a premium. There will be a cut in cost. On the other hand, if the demand is more, like the cement in today's date, automatically the cost is going to be, like you can just lift it up, just take it up. So usually these two are during the project. Okay, these are things that happen during project. For example, today if you see the Hindu Chennai edition, there is this hardware vendor who's saying, I took money from the client before the lockdown, just before the lockdown. On the day he was going to supply cement, lockdown was enforced, so the cement was in his godown. Today the cement prices have gone up, so he is not wanting to release the cement at the rate which he agreed to sell, because he is going to make a loss. Okay, so you can imagine, like he is going to have some 10,000 bags and he is going to make a cool 10 lakh difference just like that. Okay, without doing any extra work, just because the price is high, he is going to make that money. Okay, now in the pre-tender stage, all your studies, all the studies which you do incur cost, but I'm not putting that right now. I'm just looking at it from the point of a contractor. So another thing is, safety is a very important thing, and safety comes at a cost. For example, provision of PPE, provision of lighting. Okay, so in the night, if you're going to give lighting, it's going to be costly. Suppose you're going to look at some of the construction sites, you just simply take some wires, knot it up, and then you will just work. And other construction sites are there where they give the current distribution board, plug points, other extension boxes, and then they work. So immediately you'll be able to see what I'm trying to point out in terms of safety. So again, this hard barrication, and that is, barrication doesn't come free. Okay, then there is this Hessian cloth which you used for dust and other things. So I can say that safety or EHS. So both of these have a cost involved. Again, we were talking about insurance. So insurance, if you see in one of the WhatsApp forwards which I had, we reject insurance when we are sick, and when we are sick, insurance rejects us, or I think it was insurance companies. So the problem with insurance is that although you don't want it, it's like a necessary evil, because if you don't have it and God forbid there is a event, an incident, you are not going to be able to overcome it. So insurance for the various things, you please have a look at it in the lecture, or no, just try to recollect what we said in the earlier lecture. So again, you will have to provide some bonds. It might be a surety bond, it might be an earnest deposit bond for earnest deposit. So actually earnest deposit is abbreviated as EMD, and it might be a security deposit, it might be a performance guarantee. See, for example, for waterproofing, the warranty is almost given from 5 years to 10 years, which is a very long period of this one performance guarantee. Okay, and you will also be So you'll be paying many of these bonds, for various reasons, and you will need to what we call as ensure that it is there. And again, maybe along with the EHS, let us add also this worker benefits under BOCW. So BOCW mandates that some benefits have to be given. So are we giving these benefits which BOCW mandates? That's a question which we can probably ask each of us. Okay. Then the last, like one of the other very important things is the cost of licenses. License for getting, for example, walkie-talkie. License for operating tower crane. Okay, license to run a labor camp. Today you will be able to see in the newspaper how much people are talking about the labor camp and the facilities in the labor camp. So this BOCW will mandate what is to be done in the facility in the camp will be given by BOCW. But all the other things, whether you are going to pay the various kinds of deposits, each of these are part of contract. Okay, and they will be mentioning how this has to be done, and these are all things which you cannot avoid. So these are mandatory and also legal requirements. See, these are some of the things which directly come in most of the sites. Like if suppose I was talking about a site where we were working with forest. So entering into the forest, we need permission, and you can imagine, very well imagine how it is. Again, working in during day, taking trucks in city, taking trucks in city is prohibited. So if suppose you want to not at, they will not at all allow, you can take special permission and take your trucks into the city. Now there was one thing which I was telling that I will tell at the end of the lecture. Oh yeah. So yes, this is it. So when we are looking at the reserve forest, we before we enter, we need to get some licenses. So in all, my dear friends, one of the other important things is you may do 10 or 15 you may bid for 10 or 15 projects, but then you may win only, bidding maybe for 15 projects, okay, but you may win one. And for all these 15 projects, the contractor also has to do work, right? So who is going to bear all these costs? Like for example, site, before you're bidding, you will have to go for site visit. Okay, then there is also the very important thing, you have to buy tender documents. Okay, in most of the cases, you'll have to buy the tender documents. See, for example, you go to Anna University's website stroke tenders, you'll see that they are saying this is the tender, this is the amount you have to pay for the tender, and then you'll be paying the, so that is not refundable. So you'll have to get it, you have to pay your EMD and other things. So when you're bidding also, you're losing money. After if the bid is awarded to somebody, that EMD is going to be reimbursed for returned to you. But till that time, that money is not yours. Somebody else is holding on to the money which otherwise you could have enjoyed. Okay, so you will have to buy the tender documents. You will have to participate in what we call as the pre-bid meetings. So if suppose there is a pre-bid meeting, the company where I used to work used to send me. They had to buy my plane tickets. They had to put me in a hotel, local transportation, and all of these things was there as a real cost. Okay, and after that, like the calculations and other things. So manpower is used for getting quotation. Okay, then you will be doing the engineering. Then there is also preparing bid. Okay, and so on and so forth. So when you're bidding for 15 such projects, you can imagine how much money is going to go. But if you don't undertake that exercise, and if your bidding tendering team is not strong, you are not going to get any projects. So the other thing is the overheads of the uh, company. See, for example, vice president may not be actually working in the tender part. He may not be actually doing the work. But what do they do? Their advice will be there for each of the tenders. So, which is invaluable. Which is invaluable. Now, his salary is much more than probably the entire team which is working on the tender document. So his salary has to be paid. The office rent has to be paid. The air conditioning, lighting, taxes. When you are having a property, you need to pay taxes. All of these overheads are also going to be coming. So when you are taking up a project, the rate of the project is not only going to be that of the value of that project. You will have to take into account so many other factors also into the estimate. Okay, so it means that an estimate is not taking a drawing, just doing the multiplication and giving an answer. Again, the problem is your rate cannot be much higher than any other person, and this is where the value of rate analysis is actually coming into the equation and picture. And with this, we'll probably close this discussion on rate analysis and estimation, right? So if you have any questions, this is the time to ask, please. Will one of you please summarize the session, today's session, please? Any volunteers? Okay, Talanti Ravi Arun Kumar. Arun Kumar, are you around? Yes, Arun. Arun, can you please summarize what we saw today in today's session?
We have between price and risk.
I'm sorry?
What is the link between price and the risk, sir?
Okay, very good.
Uh,
What do you feel is the most important factor in pricing a project?
Estimations.
Estimations. Okay. Estimation. No, what are the factors which affect your estimation?
Price of cement.
Okay.
Phases of executions.
Okay. Anyway.
Retailing, execution, and
okay. Amit Kumar. Amit Kumar. Amit Kumar, are you around, please?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Amit. Amit, can you please share with us what you feel is the very important factor? I mean, like what in your opinion is the very important factor that affects the estimate? Or what are the things you should consider when you're doing an estimate in a project?
So various risks, sir.
Okay.
Like so transportation charges. And
very good. Very good. In fact, I didn't put transportation charge. Very good, Amit.
So that labor things, sir.
Excellent.
Awareness program should be accomplished.
Okay.
And such tools, I mean.
Okay.
And so that truck permits and all.
Okay. Now let us see. Okay. So anyway, thank you so much for the points you shared. Arina Chauhan, are you around, please?
Yes, sir.
Can you share with us, your view on today's lecture? Like a summary of today's lecture. Can you add on to what others said?
Sorry, sir.
Can you please give some more points on what others said, maybe in light of the various stages of like the project where you are going to do estimation?
Yes, sir. It's like So there are many factors.
Yes, please.
Then construction with these things cost estimation, just like like some other construction projects or material cost, or like label based rates and project schedule
Very
and
good, very good.
plans and specifications.
Mm.
So that and all is involved. So these are the factors that basically affects the construction cost estimates.
One of the very good
And
points you
we have
spoke.
a high significant
One of the very important
impact on
things you
project.
said was this time, because when the project time is very less, the cost will also go up. And again, that was one of the points which I probably did not
Yes.
stress,
So
but
it's
thanks to your
like
point. Yes.
yes, it's like inflation factor and all.
Excellent. Inflation is also another very important thing which I have missed out and you have brought out. Thank you. And any other thing, probably you have brought out very interesting points. I'd like to, I mean, like in case there's anything else which I missed out, also I'd be very happy to hear from you. Are you around? Okay.
Hello.
Yes, please. Would you like to add any more points, please? Okay, I think we've lost. Anyway, I thank all of you who have given some very good points, especially the points like transportation costs has to be taken, and for example, the facilities which you make for the laborer. If you're trying to compress the project, trying to crash the project, the cost is again going to increase. So these are all the very important, like aspects which you need to think about. And also remember that the rates which you quote is not only the rates for the what you call as the project per se, but it could be also for the projects which you are bidding for and might not be successful in winning it. And again, if suppose you bid for 10 projects and you get all the 10 projects, again there might be a crunch, like you might not have the resources to bid and work for all of them. Okay, so insurance costs, licenses, and other things for permits, all of these are also other very important costs. And one of the very important thing is the cost is dependent on the form of contract, because the form of contract transfers the risks from either the owner to the contractor or vice versa. So with this, I will close today's session. In case anybody has any other points to share, you're welcome to share. If you have any questions, I'll be around for another 5 minutes or so. Thanks all of you for joining. Do remember to fill up your attendance, yeah, by going to Moodle.